And we're back. This time we are going to discuss how to align objects in Adobe Illustrator. Now, one of the most important things in design, doesn't matter whether you're drawing, creating an ad, whatever it is, even if it's a web layout, you need to learn alignment. And you can't govern everything by eye. So, how to align objects essentially is going to teach you a couple of ways to align your objects, mainly working with the Align panel. So, you want to go to Window, and you want to go down to Align, or it's F7 on your keyboard, and you will have an Align window that pops up. And you can tell what it is by this vertical line and two rectangles, which are used to govern how this is actually aligning the objects. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's Align and there's Distribute, okay? And let's create 3 rectangles, all of the same size, and let's space them out. Now, right now, these are not aligned properly. Let's say we want to align them to one another, but we want to align them to the topmost object. What we would do is we would select all 3, and if you don't know how to select, all you have to do is go over to your selection tool or your move tool and you highlight each object. And then you go into your Align panel. And where it says Align to, or if you don't have the panel open, usually it will allow you to select it up top, but I like to have the panel open, it's easier. You click this option where it says Align to, and you get 3 options. You have Selection, Key Object, and Artboard. Right now we're going to go Align to Selection, which is our entire selection, but we want to align to the topmost part of this selection. So on our Align Objects, because we're aligning to the objects, we want to go over to the top portion, and it goes Vertical Align Top, and when we click that, boom, we're aligned to the top. Alright, now let's say we wanted to align to the bottom. We click the bottom. And if we wanted to align to the middle, we simply click Align to Center, and it shifts to the center of that box. Let's show you exactly where it's going to shift to so you're aware. Now that should be the center line of each object once we get it. Alright, so it shifts according to those boxes and where the center point is on each object, or where the center point is from how far they've stretched out. Now, if, let's say we had objects above and below one another, but we wanted them, instead of horizontally aligning, we wanted to align them vertically, or along the horizontal axis, but in a vertical manner. We would select the objects again, and this time, let's say we wanted to go to the leftmost object. We would select Horizontal Align Left, and that's what it does. Same thing for the middle, and the same thing for our rightmost object. So that's how you use these to align them. Now, what if we wanted to distribute them evenly? Let's align these. And right now they look pretty even. But let's expand our art box a little bit more, or our artboard. And let's move this one down and leave them like this. Right now there's a huge gap in between, but let's say we want this to be equidistant. If we were to do that, we can align it with a distance governed from the top to the bottom. We can do it from the middle, or from the bottom to the top. Now, it doesn't look like there's any difference, but if we were to have, let's say, another object here, another object here, and let's say itty bitty object there, let's align all of these to the center of each other. Matter of fact, let's align them left so we can see it that way. And let's move this down here, this here, this really close there, and this one close here. You'll notice once we highlight, if we distribute from the top, It governs it based on how close it is to the top. If we do from the bottom, it then does it from the bottom. And if we do from the middle, it then spaces them according to the middle. Alright? And that's how we would align them that way. But there's also the option of doing the same for horizontal. So we're going to set these out horizontally. And we're going to align each one to the top. Bring them down. And then we're going to distribute them from the left to the right, from the middle, and from the right to the left. You'll notice that it shifts, but it's doing this all according to the spacing that's set by each object. So it bases the spacing off the left object, or the right object, or the center. Now, let's get rid of these odd objects. We don't want those. Your other option, if you looked in the Align To box, is Key Object and Artboard. Let's do Artboard because Artboard is simple. Right now, instead of aligning, let's say this is here, and this is here, instead of aligning to this selection, you can select them, click the Artboard in the Align To option, and then you can click to align to the top of the artboard, to the bottom, or to the middle. And let's distribute them evenly. We can do that across the entire artboard, left side, right side if there were more objects, across the top, bottom, and middle. And then our other option is to align to Key Object. Let's change the color so you can see what happens when we do that. So this is black, and we'll change this to a cyan, and we'll open our layers so you can see them. The black is on the top, and the magenta is on the bottom. So we'll cover and highlight each of these, click Align To and Key Object, and let's say we want to align to center. The key object is the topmost object, so it always aligns everything to whatever object is on top. See how our black rectangle is actually the top object in our layers panel? So everything will line and adjust according to our key object. So because they're already distributed, we can't really do much with that. But if we were to align to the bottom, align to the top, it all aligns. Let's go back. Select Key Object. It all aligns to the top of our key object, or to the bottom of our key object, left of our key object, right for our key object. And you see how it functions whenever you select a key object. Just make sure your key object is always on top. Make sure you're selecting Align to Key Object. Have to have multiple objects selected in order to align to anything, unless it's the artboard. Then you can individually select Align to Artboard, and then you can only move that object with respect to the artboard itself. In addition to that, you can actually select anchor points. And if you select them using a direct selection tool, you can do the same thing that you did with these align tools with anchor points. So we can align these two anchor points to the top of one another. That was a key object, which was our first selection. Let's do align to selection. Let's change this to go up here, and you'll see that the anchor point, now that it's on align to selection, will align to the top. And so on and so forth for the bottom. And let's say we're here and we want to select this and align to selection. We can align to the left and it will bring us back, or we could have aligned to the right and it will bring us over to the right. Same thing if you have, and I like to use this in case we have multiple points and we want them to be evened out. You select multiple anchor points and you can distribute them evenly along your line as long as you select them in the proper way. So we have 4 anchor points here along this baseline, and we could distribute them to the center, and now there's an equal distance in between each segment. It was a slight change, but if you look closely, you'll notice they change. Alright, and you can do the same thing for vertical. Let's say we do one here and one here, maybe we'll see the difference even greater. Select these, make sure your align to selection is on, and then you distribute, and you'll notice that they change distance wise. Distribute spacing essentially just governs how far apart your objects are going to distribute. See, it says to specify value, choose a key object by clicking one of the selected objects. So let's do this. Select our key object, and then we can change what we want to do. We can change it to horizontal distribute space, vertical, and then we can change the amount that it distributes horizontal or vertically. Now, one quick tip and the last way to align some objects is you can actually go to your view and smart guides, which is Command U or Control U on your keyboard, and when you move objects with smart guides, they'll immediately show you their alignment with respect to the other objects that are in close proximity, and then they will snap, especially if you have your view and snap to point, snap to grid, or show grid on. That'll help you, but it'll allow you to get these to snap to each other, and once you let go, they're perfectly aligned. So that's under your view and smart guides, Command U or Control U. You can turn it on or off, but when it's off, notice it's not going to snap and you have to adjust by hand or guessing, and it may not be correct. But if you have it on and you click and you select, you'll notice that it will perfectly align with the other object. And that's how you use your align tools in Adobe Illustrator. So be sure to check out the other tutorials. Make sure you get really familiar with this one, and I still recommend the Pathfinder one. I think they go hand in hand. We'll be covering some more subjects in terms of some of these tools, but make sure you get these down. These are really helpful, especially along with the Pathfinder tool, so check out that tutorial as well. And we'll have some new ones coming up soon, so stay tuned, and I will see you there.